I never even thought about going to college. Perfect day exercise, if you really sit there.
But what's the story behind that? Hi guys, welcome. I'm here with Gavin. He's been living in Bali now for over a year. We met at the Elevate event, which was amazing. It was in April. And he's a $1 million owner of a e-commerce.
E-commerce
business. So it's amazing. And we're talking now about consciousness and the real stuff, because that's where you're getting into, and that's
100%
what we're going to talk about today.
I love it, and thank you so much for having me on, and I'm excited to connect deeper with you here and kind of go through some of our stories, more of the struggle that allowed us to do some of these things, and also where we're going because of it, because the more you evolve, the more you want to see how you can impact the world and help as many people and connect deeper with amazing human beings. So thank you.
It's so important right nowadays. We only see the superficial things on Instagram. We see the photos, we see the nice places where we can eat and where we can buy our clothes, but what's the story behind that? And that's where we gonna get into today. Like, it's not only the superficial things. There's so much stories to tell. And can you tell a little bit more about your story?
You know what? There's so much behind it. And I love what you're talking about with the Instagram, because it's so easy to just post our highlight reel and to really start to post everything when we're doing good in life. And to avoid the dark times and the hard things, because it is painful and it's hard to look at. And it's hard to be vulnerable and tell people, like, things have been really hard for me. Still to this day, I have hard times. It's not like smooth sailings, everything's perfect. Like, the brain is always trying to trick us into believing that we might be in scarcity, or there might not be enough, or is this gonna not last forever, or whatever, right? So overall, when I first started in entrepreneurship, it's 7 years ago, I didn't think I was going to be able to make more than $30,000 to $50,000 a year in life. I don't have a college degree. I never even thought about going to college. I just wanted to travel. I discovered a lot through that, but I would always come home broke, and then I would have to go get another minimum wage or crappy job, and I worked so many jobs. I remember at one point I was working demolition construction. For 3 weeks straight, I was in this basement ripping out insulation and sweating. And if anyone's ever ripped out insulation before, you literally get fiberglass in your arms and all over, which is tiny little pieces of glass, and you can't stop itching. You can't stop itching. And I was just itching, and I'd shower 3 times after at night, and I'm still itching. And this was for 3 weeks. I just remember these types of times, working at pizza shops, doing this, doing that, and just not knowing that there was something more.
Just money driven?
Not even money driven, just survival driven, And just looking back at a lot of those times, it's just my level of consciousness and my level of limiting beliefs of what was actually possible was so small. But there was always something inside of me, and I don't know what it was. There was always something inside of me that was like, you're gonna figure something out. You're gonna meet the right person. Something is gonna happen. I didn't know what that would be. I had no idea. I never read any business books. My parents weren't entrepreneurial. My parents are really amazing people. My dad's an executive, my mom's an artist, but they weren't entrepreneurial. So they didn't understand who really I was and why I thought these different ways. And I was kind of crazy. I had all these visions. I was a daydreamer in school, always thinking, but I didn't know anything of how to apply it. So I'd always end up back in these kind of jobs, just figuring out why is my life this way? Right? And then what ends up happening is when you start to get a little bit of an awakening in any way, whether that is a painful moment, which for me was a near-death experience, I was like, man, is this really all I would have left behind? What would someone have thought of me? Would they have said wow, he had so much potential, but he never actually did anything?
That's painful if you think about
Super
it, right?
Painful.
It's that's not how you want to die.
Did I really pursue my passions? Did I really have any purpose? What was I doing here, And I was asking myself these questions, and I was kind of I got to figure something out, And just that moment of saying that I'm going to do that, it was probably 3 weeks later, I'm walking down the street, and then I see this guy who I'd met the year before, and I hadn't seen him in a year, and he's lifting tires and sledgehammering things, and he's in that CrossFit or whatever, right? He's doing these crazy caveman workouts. It's you want to work out? I was like, high on weed at the time, and I'm like, all right, you know, I'm in jeans. I'm like, I gotta do something. I gotta change something.
There must be a shift somewhere.
I gotta do something different, or it's all gonna keep going down the same path. So I worked out with him. He turned into a mentor of mine. We connected. I kept like going back and seeing him over and over again. He just started teaching me about health and how to like take care of your body. And I was like, wow, this is like just different. Like I can have goals, you know, I can do something. And it's not that I did sports and I did other things, but I never really had true goals, you know, like I set it myself. I'm taking self-responsibility, doing it on my own. I never really had that. And he kind of got me into that mindset. So I'd go to the gym every day, started eating healthy, started just changing my habits, and this mindset of just I can do something and then get a result. It's like, I love how we live in a universe that's based off these like specific laws of cause and effect.
Yes.
Because I know if I go to McDonald's every day and I don't exercise and I'm lazy, what's going to happen?
It's
I'm going to
easy,
get
right?
overweight and unhealthy.
So
it's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
If I train my body and my mind and eat healthy, I'm probably going to get healthier. I'm probably going to have less depression. I'm probably, you know, it's not perfect, but it's pretty obvious.
Yes.
So I started to think about that, and then I'm like, what else, you know? And then a guy approached me about a business opportunity thing. I had no idea about what it was. It was a network marketing thing at the time. Got into that for about 6 months. And again, I started just doing different things. And then I started reading. The biggest change for me was when I went and all these people were like really motivated to like build a business, get freedom. And they were like, do you listen to audiobooks? And I'm like, audiobooks? What? You know?
What's that?
And they're like, yeah, I have all these tapes of these successful people, and they like basically tell you all their secrets. And I'm like, all right, like, give me a drive.
That.
I was like, hell yeah. So I took this drive from this guy. It was like all these Brian Tracy books and Tony Robbins. And I just started binging these like 4 or 5 hours a day, whatever I was doing. Like if I was working at a job cutting grass, it would be in my ears. If I was working a job, I remember painting during the summer. I painted all summer, and I was just listening to audiobooks all day.
That's so interesting to say that. I just literally finished my first audiobook. Yeah. I'm ashamed that I just started now, but I like the paper of the book, so I was like,
that's fine too,
always taking all the books with me. But what I noticed is like, I start reading a few pages, don't take the book with me somewhere, and now I'm laying in the sun or like doing something, like even on the treadmill.
Yes.
I just finished my workout walking, and I'm listening to this audiobook. I finished a 10-hour...
Upgrading your body and mind.
Yeah, exactly, at the same time. A 10-hour audiobook in literally less than 1 week.
Yeah. No, and this is a revolution, just like a side topic. It's like, it's found time, right?
Yes.
So someone's washing the dishes, somebody's walking, taking the bus, whatever it is they're doing, they can be upgrading their mind.
Exactly.
And it's literally, like this is a huge secret to get out of the matrix or get out of the grind, because you can be learning. So like, imagine a year every day you listen to 2 hours of some super successful person literally telling you all of their laws of success and decoding the stuff and teaching about the mistakes not to make and the things to do right. Over a year, you're going to be a transformed person. Your mind's going to be completely different. And whatever. Let's say you want in one area, you're going to be one of the most knowledgeable people. Now, of course, we have to apply, but overall, feeding this over and over again, your brain just starts to act and behave like the people we surround ourselves with. That includes audiobooks.
Yes.
If you think about it, people always say you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. What if you spend most of your time with these really successful people in your ears?
Putting all these secrets in your ear.
It's insane.
It's so good, because also like I had a bit of like an anxiety period and negativity, and you get stuck in your brain. Like I live in Bali by myself, and you spend a lot of time with yourself, so you can get into like talking to yourself a lot sometimes, and you get into this negative pace. And when I start listening, you're like, you don't have time to listen to your own negative thoughts, because you have these successful people screaming secrets in your ear. It's perfect.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So that started happening, and then I just started going down this path of more discovery. So I was in this business, and then I started asking questions about the business. I'm like, I'm not really sure I believe in this business model. I'm not really sure I believe in the company and what they're doing. And I start asking more and more questions. And again, Tony Robbins talks about, if you want better results, ask better questions.
Yes.
You know, it's like you have to be asking yourself these things. So then I started looking on YouTube. I was like, I want to like figure out how to do this business better. I want to figure out more, whatever, figure out how I can evolve myself. And I found this guy, Cesar Rodriguez, on YouTube. He was just teaching you how to prospect better and how to sell. I was like, damn, this guy really gets it. So I started using some of the things that he taught, and it just started working. I'm like, oh my God. And I remember after this one day, I was literally walking in and out of a mall with an iPad, just like going into these places, like, who's the best salesperson here? Who's the manager? Like literally like a hardcore.
Whoa, really?
Because I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
At the time, I thought this is what everybody does. And when our brain believes that it's normal,
Yes.
we do it.
True.
When our brain thinks we're doing something way outside of the normal, then we think everyone's gonna look at us weird. But I actually thought it was normal because he's like, yeah, you just do this, it's easy. I'm like, oh, okay.
You say it's easy, let's try it out.
But I did it, and that day I remember walking into my house that day and I was like, I know I'm gonna be successful. And I said that to myself because I'm like, if I can learn 100 of these different skills or secrets, it's impossible. It's inevitable. That's how I looked at it. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
We never do. We can only connect the dots going backwards, like Steve Jobs says. But
Yes, beautiful.
we can push forward with these principles and build our habits. Our habits build us. Read these books build us. Hang out with the right people, these people build us. And it's just an ontological feedback loop. And we can surround ourselves with that connected kind of life. And it's almost impossible for us not to evolve more into that. And it's super powerful. So I went through that, and then I ended up sending this guy a testimonial video. And this is like a secret, I swear. If like people really get this, they can connect with almost anybody. And I'm not saying everybody, but you can connect with almost anybody you want to connect with. What I did was I took out my camera and I created a super authentic testimonial video for this person. They ask. Most people only create testimonials when someone asks them to.
Yes.
Can you do a testimonial for me?
Yes, and
You know,
they'll be
for my
sitting down
business?
like,
Yeah, but I took out my camera, I filmed the test, I put on a suit and stuff at the time, thought I was cool, and I sent him this testimonial, and it was just super authentic and raw, like, you changed my life, this is amazing. I send him that on email. Who's not going to open up an email in their inbox that says, like, life-changing testimonial?
Yes.
Think of that way you can connect with someone who's at a higher level.
That's amazing.
You know? So then he sends me back an email, whoa, bro, like, thank you so much, this is amazing. Here's my number. Call me.
No way.
And I'm like, what? You know, this is crazy. What's going on? I call him, get on call. I talk to him for like 45 minutes. He's like telling me all these things about business and blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, oh yeah, I have this new business coming out online. Like you should like, I'm going to teach you like what the deal is. So I got into this business with him and I just started learning internet marketing. I'm like, this is like, it was a whole new world. As soon as I saw what was possible with the internet, I was like, oh my God. What passive income, this, that. Then there's so many more pieces to this, but then I end up discovering Brian Swan's Perfect Day video, which was, this is the #1 game changer in my life. There's so many pieces, but this is the #1. I watched this video, and it's Brian Swan and his wife Rhonda and daughter Hanalei. They've been traveling the world for 4 years with internet money, you know, making their money online, passive income, obviously working, but I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And then he says, you got to create your perfect day. You got to write down what your perfect, average, ideal day in the life would look like if there are no limitations and no consequences. So if there's no limitations, and if it's not like, you know, you're not just like going to Vegas and getting drunk and doing cocaine if that's what someone wants. You know, that's a bad thing. You know?
That's
there's
not
a lot
how
of consequences
you daily want to live,
no,
right?
It's crazy. But so average day in the life, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. I wrote out 6 pages.
Wow, I just did
Detailed.
one.
I wrote out so detailed, like this is how I want to smell, this is how I want to wake up, what I want to see, I want to be surfing.
So you can visualize it perfectly.
You visualize a movie, and the law of attraction isn't about visual. I want $100,000 because that's just one thing.
Yeah.
And then you might be making that doing something you don't want to do, stuck in a life you don't want. But what if you create that entire movie of your mind, like of what you want your life to look like?
Yeah.
It makes your reticular activating system really focus on what you truly need. Like if you buy a car, you drive it off the lot, you start to see that same car everywhere. Our selective focus focuses on the things that we think about most of the time.
Yes, true.
So I started to think about, that's the life I want. Like I want to live in Bali. I want to like surround myself with people like yourself. I want to do videos like this.
And here we
are. I want to surf. I want to play. I want to like eat out I eat out for 2 meals every day with like awesome people. Sometimes by myself, but overall,
you're having
this is my life
people here
on a regular basis. Not the life that you want for just a vacation. I want that as my average life. And then of course you then go to other places and you travel, but average day, right?
Yes.
That then tells you what your values are. When I wrote that out, I realized, wow, I don't need $1 million a year personally to live that life. I don't actually need that much money to live that. The ideal life, most people don't realize, it's about connection.
Yes.
It's about surrounding yourself with the best people. It's about growing and developing, transforming yourself, self-actualizing, doing things that really matter to you. Like, these are way more important than money. Now, the money can really help
energy.
you. And money can help you, like, give more. It can help you have less scarcity in your life because you don't have to think. It can give you more freedom to choose. But once you get to that level where that's what you need, then if I want to make more money so I can give more to the world.
Others,
and
to serve others.
And push forward purposeful missions and evolve consciousness and all these things, right? But that perfect day exercise, if you really sit there, it's like, who do you want to spend your time with? How do you want your mornings to look like? How do you want it to smell? Where in the world do you want to live? What do you want to be eating? What kind of exercise? What are your hobbies? What's your career? Like, I knew I had to do something on the internet when I wrote this down. How else would I be able to live anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So, and then what's your bigger purpose? Like, how do you want the world to look different in 10, 20 years because you were born? You know?
That's interesting. That's an interesting question, guys. Ask yourself
Yeah.
that question.
Yeah.
That's actually...
It's a great question. Like, literally, what in 20 years, if the world were to change into like a different thing, a different way that you would like it to change, like, how are you part of that?
Yeah, and how can you make that impact?
Yes.
If there were no limits.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, you
nothing.
always, for me, go for your biggest vision in your mind first, and then look at kind of the science behind it. But don't limit yourself first and then try to jump up. It's like, ask what's the biggest thing first and then scale back from that if you need to. But like, never just say, oh, this is like my life and this is fine and that's all I'm ever gonna get. That's what I did till I was 25 years old.
Yeah.
And it actually created a lot of pain. Because
you're struggling a little bit by a little bit. Just go reach as high as you can, and then if it's going to be a bit lower, it's going to be still more than if you do all these little steps.
Totally. So yeah, the path was crazy, but then, so I'm going through that, and then comes like the 3 to 4 years of just hell, you know? And this is where I tried to build the internet business at first. I built it to like, $5,000 a month or something. I'd spent all my money into this. Oh, hey, buddy.
Hello, Dougie. Want to talk too?
Come here for a second. Hey, this is Monty.
Hello, cutie.
So you can go now.
It's video bombing.
So I spent all my money, and then the business went under that I got involved
create
with.
it?
No, I didn't create it. I was a part of it. I was selling affiliate products for this. So it's a business, but you can create it's not network marketing. You can create a business within it. The internet works as affiliate marketing.
Yes.
Anyone could go to Amazon, become an affiliate, and sell any Amazon products. That's how they became so big. Because anyone can sell their products from their website, and then they get a commission from it. So that's what I was doing. But the company went under, which meant all my money was gone. And I was like, what do frickin' I do? And I had just quit my job because I'd gotten to a point where I could. And then I was like, what do I do? So I spend the next 3 weeks trying to figure out this and figure out that and try to make something else work. Turned out I didn't make it happen. Knock on the door, eviction letter, fuck, I actually fucked up, really fucked up here. Girlfriend left me, the whole thing was going down.
Everything went down under.
Moved back in with my parents, the most embarrassing thing that I could go through when I was telling everyone I'm starting to succeed.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And then I'm trying to mask myself and basically pretend everyone thinks they're still okay because I can't admit it because my ego couldn't stop.
Vulnerability was
My vulnerability was not there at all. I couldn't even at all admit what was going on. So going through this, it was the worst thing ever, and I kept going through so many phases of this. It was something would work, bomb again, something would work, bomb again, move out, then have to move back in. It was bad. But the learning from this is the best learning I could have ever experienced, because now my level of transparency, I've experienced anything bad that could happen. I don't fear anything at all anymore. That's at least how I feel. I know no matter what happened, I'm going to find a solution for it. No matter what no matter what happened, I can just say, hey, this happened, and I have such an amazing group of friends and network, and like this happened, like, oh, I'm gonna try to help you out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like no matter what, it's there.
That's what we're just talking about
totally.
the book you just showed me about fear.
Yes.
It's like, if we have, what was the sentence again?
I'll find it
Can
right
we
now.
find
It's
it?
so good.
It's like,
If you knew you could handle anything that came your way, what would you possibly have to fear?
nothing, right? If you knew what was coming, if you knew you're gonna break a leg, if you knew your boyfriend or girlfriend is leaving you, like,
and you knew you could overcome it, and that's the big point, is like, no matter what hard times are gonna happen, no matter what things that you have no control over are gonna happen, but if you just knew, I'm gonna be able to get through it, then what do you have to fear? You know, the fears start to disappear at that point. But that takes a level of going through a lot of things and just letting yourself know that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So, but this is why I like, and this is a whole different thing, but if people really want to get connected to themselves and the world, we have to realize that we hold up identities.
Yes.
And these identities control our behavior. And then we stay committed to those identities. The more we tell ourselves we're that identity, the more we put out to the world we are. And then the second we step outside of that identity, our friends and family are like, wow, you seem different today.
Yes.
No, you're changing. What's going on? You know? And then we get sucked back into being this person that everyone thinks we are.
The mask that we put on them, because we
the
can
mask
choose
that we put on
who
ourselves.
we want to be.
Yes.
It's our decision. It's our movie that we're playing out. And if we want to be a different person, like every second our cells are changing in our body. Every breath we take, we're slowly dying. It's the truth.
Yes.
So you can decide who you want to be now. Like, that's the beauty.
That brings up a funny point, because I'll say, I'm a moving, dynamic, ever-evolving process of transformational growth. And, you know, that's my identity.
Yeah.
You know? That's more truth than I'm a banker, you know?
Yes.
Or
because tomorrow you can lose your job and hey, you're
at
not
the
a
end
banker
of the day,
anymore.
you are a moving, dynamic process of transformation. That's really what you are.
True.
As a human being, that's what all life is. It's all moving, it's all changing, it's all evolving. Nothing's gonna stay the same. We're not all gonna live forever. We're gonna die. People around us are gonna die. We're gonna lose relationships. We're gonna gain relationships. It's gonna be a constant, moving, dynamic process. But our brain likes to have control.
Yes.
So we like to make things feel like they're going to be one thing. We nominalize them. We fix them into static events like our own identity. And then we box ourselves in.
Because that's safe, right? That's a safe place to be.
It feels safe, but it's not safe, you know? Because now we're not adaptable, and we're living in a time that's like, we need to be adaptable. That's the number one skill that you can learn. If you want to be adaptable, you need to learn how to learn, and then you need to learn how to learn how to learn. You can go as deep as possible. The school system just teaches subjects. Most people have never been taught how their memory works, and then they'll say, I can't remember names. It's like, no, you can totally remember names, you just haven't been taught how your memory works. It's like, I can't do this. Yeah, you actually can. It's totally possible within the laws of physics. You just don't know how yet, you know? But we limit ourselves by telling ourselves stories of why we can't do it. But they don't exist.
It's crazy, because why we don't learn that in school? I think that's so ridiculous. We learn so many things about history, what happened like so many years ago, which I found kind of interesting when I was in school, but we don't learn how to use our mind, use our brain, believe in ourselves. Like, why aren't there any classes about that?
Well, I have my own crazy conspiracy beliefs, but I truthfully believe the education system was just created for a time that no longer exists. It was created for a time when we needed to put people into jobs. And
society.
This was the industrial times, and before that, it's just like put people into the positions we need in order for everything to run. So the responsibility of education was not to give someone a free mind, it was to put them into a position.
In a closed mind.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily you want their mind to be closed, but it actually does work better in those systems that someone just does without thinking.
Yes.
You know?
We all follow the crowd. A lot of us do. We all follow society. Oh, we have to finish school, go to university, go straight into job, get a promotion, get a family, get a dog, a baby, like everything. But like, it's not the only path. We have to see further than that. And it's so hard for some people in society to just not only see like this, but open up. So like, we're travelers. We travel around, we see different cultures, different perspectives. That's, since I'm 21, I've been traveling so much. I lived in Dakar, in New York, in Sydney, traveled by myself through Asia, and I was like, wait, there's not one way of living right. And I think that's my biggest experience and my biggest life lesson that there's not one way of living right. It's just what you make of it, and you can choose, and there's different cultures, different ways of making your life yours.
Yeah, I love that. I talk about two sides of it. It's like there's a subjective side, which is we can create anything in that quantum reality in our imagination, whatever it is that we like design our life in our mind, we can then do that in the world.
Yes.
But then there's the objective side, which is we do live in a physical universe. So there's laws, like Newton's laws. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. An object in motion that stays in motion unless acted upon by an external force. Like I study these physical laws because I also want to know, is it possible? And this is why Elon Musk can do what he does. Because he says, is it possible within the laws of physics? Yes? Okay, I'm going to build a team and do it. And then he asks, oh, since technology is growing this fast, exponentially, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I know that the latest technology is going to build the latest technology and it's going to go that much faster. I know within 2 years technology is going to be here. Okay, cool. If I build the company up into this point, we'll have the technology by that point to build the next part. And that's how his brain works.
Yeah, that's insane.
But that's the objective side, which means you actually look at how this universe works in terms of those laws, and then you create your own subjective reality of what you truly want, and what your heart says, and what your soul says, and how you want to experience the world, and no one can tell you that's right or wrong. That's 100% what you believe and what you want. As long as you're not hurting other people, there's nothing wrong with that.
True. And that's how we can serve better as well.
Totally. Like authentic people, no masks, like being themselves. But no, of course, then you go to the darker side with that too, because some people have psychological issues. Some people, and we all live in this reality together. The law of attraction is not just, I want this reality, so it's going to be that way. There's all these other brains that want their reality, and we have to co-create. And that's why I truly believe, and that's why I've got out of my e-commerce business, because what I truly believe is I'm here to help evolve consciousness and help other people evolve their own consciousness. And then all together, how can we love each other more? How can we play infinite versus finite games, which is finite games are how do we fight for small pieces of land and attack each other, and infinite games are how do we collectively bring our brains together to think way beyond what we could on our own.
Create such a beautiful things.
Yeah,
because
beautiful
more
things
minds
together.
And if you create together instead of fighting each other. That's also the thing with women, right? Like a lot of times women see each other as competition, and men too, like for sure. And it's like we should empower each other, and we're living in a world where we can all come together, and if we're vulnerable, if we put our hearts out and be transparent, people can relate with you. And that's also the thing, we're so connected in this world. We have YouTube, Instagram, we have the whole internet. Like we're so connected from Europe to Asia, from Asia to South America. We can connect with everybody in this world, but we're so disconnected with ourselves. And that's something,
This is a really hard thing that's happening in the world, because if you were to look at like the majority of bigger cities, when I go to big cities, I see the most loneliness. So it's like you go onto the subway system, no one's talking to each other, everyone's walking past each other. They're around more people, but they feel more disconnected and more lonely. And then you have people who live in just small villages with a tiny amount of people, but they're really connected with these people, and they have way higher levels of happiness and fulfillment. And it's very interesting to see that and ask, why is that? Well, it's because they don't feel like they have connection. And loneliness is one of the biggest killers.
True.
Like it causes a lot of disease, it causes a lot of pain within the body, suicide, all of this. Because when someone feels so disconnected, if you're going on social media and all you see is happy people, and then you're unhappy, you're like, oh, I'm the only one,
Which is really so not true.
It's completely
everybody is
not
going
true.
through not the same things, but you can relate with so many people, and that's what we went to the Elevate event, which was amazing. It was like a 4-day event. And you see people opening up about their stories, and you're like, hey, shit,
and they've never shared it before.
That too. And I'm like, I'm not the only one. I had this moment, I think maybe even 4 times, and I'm like, this is one event, and these people open up, and this is the same thing I've been through. I didn't know that. And I'm like, why aren't we sharing more of that?
Yes. Yeah, it's so true, and it's just, it hurts inside to think about this, because like this is how I kind of look at certain things. I'll use different metaphors, but like, when a dog's in a cage or something, right? And it doesn't have any love, and people are just like leaving it there. They don't think about it, and it's just sitting there, so sad and so lonely, and it has no idea why it's there. You know, literally, it doesn't understand like why this is happening to it. It's just sad and lonely, and I really feel like when we're in a world where none of this gets taught, and I'm not saying none of it, of course the information is out there, but in the education system, maybe their family, their friends, nobody's talking about this, so it's like the elephant in the room that nobody even talks about.
Yeah.
You feel like you're completely disconnected, and then that causes these internal feelings, almost the same as like that. You actually feel like you are like chained up, you are in a prison, and it's in a mind prison. And then those thoughts then cause more feelings in your body, that causes more depression and anxiety, and then you have to act and behave like someone you're not in order to hold face because you're scared of what other people are going to think of you.
Yeah.
And it's this whole thing, and I just feel so deeply for that because I've been there, like deep in that for a long time in my life. And then being on the other side, it's hard for me to fully understand it still, because as you raise your consciousness, everything around you projects back more of what you are.
Yeah.
So when I was in that, I just kept being projected back more of what I was, but I didn't know what I was, and I didn't know why I felt that. So it was just always like negative feelings.
Yeah. You attract so much negativity as well. You're like, why am I in here? And that's why a lot of people nowadays get sick as well.
Yes.
People get so much sickness that doctors cannot explain, because it's also a lot of times
this is
in the head.
so interesting too, right? With like the antidepressants movement, how many antidepressants are sold every year?
Yeah.
And I asked the questions. I'm like, has this doctor said you need to hang out with people who accept you for who you are? Like, you need to eat healthier foods. You need to
Get
be
a
around
different tribe.
You need to be around your family.
Yeah.
You need to start to do some meditation. Why don't try these things first holistically, and then see if it has to do with just the fact that you're not doing any of those.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Experiences.
There's so much false diagnosis,
Yeah.
and I get it. If you're depressed, it's hard to do those things. But I've seen it so many times. Somebody in a depressed place or in a sad place, and then they just get around the right people, and their whole life starts to change. And they get to tell their story to that person, and they get accepted finally.
Yeah.
And the people are like, that's okay. We all feel that. No, it's not. It's not you. This is a human feeling.
Exactly.
All of us feel this stuff. And it's like when you're around people, you can accept that. But most people just put on the mask, don't talk about that. How are you today? Good, you? Oh, I'm good. Oh, what did you do today?
Question,
I did this.
right?
Oh, let's
How
go
are
get
you?
fucked
I'm
up
good.
tonight, you know? Because let's go get like super hammered nights so we can suppress all of the feelings that we really have.
And get more depressed.
Yeah, and then they go through that cycle. And
Yeah.
of course, the drinking's fun, and I get it. But then you just keep suppressing everything.
Yeah. You're not dealing with the shit that's inside, or like talking about it, opening it up.
Most people never have a drug problem. It's a internal problem.
Yes.
It's a fighting battles within themselves. And I know that because I've gone through the drug phases lots. And I know that it had nothing to really do with being addicted to drugs. It had to be addicted to escaping myself.
Yes.
I was escaping my reality. And as soon as I can be truthful and around these people and going after and all that, like it's just a completely different feeling within the body.
There's no room for being negative. There's just only room for creating, going for your goal, being dedicated and motivated.
Yeah.
If you have a goal, like a purpose in life, and you surround yourself with the right tribe.
Yeah, and now don't get me wrong, you can still, again, it's all collective. So if you want to meditate on the poverty in the world and the people who don't have water, food, shelter, that are going through extremely painful times, you can cry for them.
Yeah.
You can still feel, it's not just about you. So as you start to move up those levels of consciousness, you go into this more like what's called transcendence. You transcend past just what I need, because you start to deal with those needs. The Maslow's hierarchy of needs: survival, safety, love, connection, self-esteem, self-actualization.
Yes.
And then when Maslow was dying, he's like, there's one more: transcendence.
Yes.
It's past
So
you,
beautiful.
right? So when you start to move into that, now you have to you go into a lot of pain on purpose, and you feel in other people on purpose, so you can then understand that feeling so you can say, how can we solve that problem?
Exactly.
And I love how can we serve at the highest level? And serving at the highest level isn't about just being in bliss all the time, like a lot of the spiritual movement.
There's
just
ups
be
and
happy,
downs.
man. Of course, and you want to experience that too. Like everything is flow. Like you talk about the masculine, feminine energy. You know, the feminine is flow. It's life force. It's just the is of the world. And they talk about the masculine consciousness, which isn't a man or woman thing. It's just a certain way to describe the world. It's like trying to like solve problems and like figure out what it is, and like, you know, figure out how we can do something. And like this is why you see so many men. They always have a purpose and a mission. They're going after a goal and A to B, you know. Just and then you see the woman dancing and flowing and just in pure beauty, and like they're just a piece of art, you know. And we both have masculine and feminine within us.
Yes.
So sometimes a man can be, but overall a man is much more in trying to just solve a problem and figure out the goal, and they're always fixing things around the house, and you know, like, and then the woman just wants to flow and be an expression.
And wants to talk.
Yeah, of course, and just be understood and not just be like, there's never an end to something. It's not just, hey, let's find a solution to your problems, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, no, like I'm flowing right now. I've been a feeling, and this is where I am.
Yeah, we
There
all
is
have
no
a feminine
exact.
part, and we all have a masculine
course.
part, and for some women we have more masculine, and for some men have more feminine.
100%.
It all flows. It's
100%.
not just one.
Yes. Totally.
And like, so for example, for the people out there, like people who feel that they're in that cage, can you give them some tricks on how to get out of that cage?
So I never believe in tricks. There are, like, you can do things like actual, like you can go to an amazing hypnotherapist who understands how your subconscious mind works and starts to tap into your subconscious, because a lot of our beliefs are not conscious beliefs. They're sitting back in our subconscious mind. If you really were to look at ourselves, most of what we do every day is the same as we did the day before.
Yeah, it's patterns.
It's patterns, and
All
we're
over.
programmed to do that at a subconscious level. So we have to work on our subconscious mind, which means we have to be very conscious and then start creating different habits, behaviors, meditation, all that. But if you're in that place and it's hard to even get out of bed, what do, right? How do you start to
Exactly.
change this? And it starts like one thing at a time. But a big thing up front, again, like we talked about, is if you could just start to get yourself to listen to 20 or 30 minutes of audiobooks a day. And even if you're like, this is amazing, if someone's watching this much of this video, it's either you're in a position of like, I'm ready.
Yes.
I'm changing, I'm shifting, I'm at my turning point, or I've already passed it and I'm awakening more and more. I'm going down the path. So, but yeah, there's never just like one thing. There's two ways someone's gonna like get a lot of change in their life. It's either gonna be like I went through, which is a near death, like severe pain, especially and like in the Matrix they talk about this, after a brain reaches a certain age, it's almost impossible to go like to evolve at those levels anymore. As children, we just are learning everything and we're grabbing onto everything. Once we get to a certain age, we get very rigid and our thought patterns are almost the same all the time. So it takes a lot of pain in order for us to shift and like wake up. Or we can start to become conscious of our habits and behaviors. And imagine changing one habit a month for 1 year. Let's say in the morning, instead of eating like sugary cereal, you change it for a green smoothie. That's just one habit, once a month. The next,
Change your wine into a tea in the evening.
or whatever, yeah. And then, or change the one episode to one positive YouTube video. You change your morning, something that's not necessarily good for you, to 30 minutes of reading. After 12 months, you have a completely different life.
Yes.
And you only had to change one little thing every month.
Brick by brick. Like if you
Yes,
want to build a
that's
solid
like
house.
Will Smith talks about that.
Yeah, you have to build it brick by brick. You cannot be like, okay, I want this house. It's gonna be here and it's gonna be done in one day.
That's what we want.
Gonna fall when the storm comes. Like
Yes.
that's not gonna be standing there. So you have to do it brick by brick, and going in that journey and building that amazing dream house, you build with the brick, with love, with enjoying the journey, and be like, okay, this is the first brick. It doesn't look like much. Like if, for example, if you want to create something, you create one thing first. Okay, it's not a lot yet, or we don't make a lot of money yet with this company, but it's the first break and I love it. And you continue. It's just seeing the end result, visualize it. What you're just saying at the beginning of this conversation, make it visual, see it, and just with every step you take, do it with love and compassion.
Yeah, you're really nailing it there, because again, we live in a physical universe. We can instantly manifest anything in our mind. But the actual physical result will not be instant.
No.
So you plant a seed in a rich, fertile soil, you put the right light, nutrients, everything around this seed. That information in that seed knows exactly what to do in that right environment. But there's a gestation period. It takes time to sprout, it takes time to get above the ground, it takes time to grow, and each seed has a different purpose. And we have to find out what our seed is and who we are. Who do we need to surround ourselves with? What information do we want? What knowledge do we want? What is that vision? We need to find out what these things are for ourselves and start to align with that. And then growth becomes almost effortless. And when I say effortless, you do actions, you take, but it's like, it feels right when you're doing it.
You don't have any, okay, sometimes you have effort to do it, but you
yeah.
love what you're doing. You wake up and you feel the excitement in like
it just
continuing.
flows. It's just like,
yeah. And what we were talking about earlier as well is like being in alignment. So when you start doing that things, all the things will come on your path, and it's ridiculous. Honestly, it's insane. It's like magic. Like it feels like magic to me, because I was doing things that I was aligned with and doing, and then I got a text message from this person. This person jumps into my life, and today as well, some girl that I just met, and she was talking to someone else that I knew, was talking about someone, and she inspired me in literally 5 minutes. This was exactly the talk I needed. Without like, all things flow and all things come on your path, and it's like,
you know, and I'm such a scientific thinker, but like I also go deep down the spiritual path.
Yeah.
And I don't believe everything just because someone says it. But oh my God, the things that happen in life, they break so much of my like scientific rigidness.
Yeah.
You know, like the synchronistic things. It's just like there is no chance that was able to happen. That's too much of a coincidence.
Exactly. I don't
It's
believe
like
in
literally like
coincidence at all.
one in a trillion chance that just happened, and it happened right after I decided that I'm going to go down this purpose path. It's like I just look at it like signs from the universe. In the movie The Matrix, it says follow the white rabbit. Neo sees that. 5 minutes later, someone comes in and then they have a white rabbit tattoo on their back. And it's like, if he doesn't follow that, he's going against the signs that the universe is giving him. And again, there's a subjective side to this. The signs and symbols are to show you who you are and what you want. They're not objective truths of like, everyone knows the complete meaning of the universe, exactly why everyone should do everything, blah, blah, blah. It's like, for you, how can we be more conscious of the signs and symbols around us? How can we program our mind to what we really want in the world? So then when we're going around, someone at the coffee shop is talking about something and your mind goes, oh, what were you talking about?
Yeah.
And then this person now becomes like a business partner or a best friend, because your mind is focused on that. And then you see other symbols around, and you're like, you just keep following this path because you can only connect the dots going backwards.
It's so funny, right? For example, if you have in your mind, I want to buy a red car. I want to buy a red Mercedes or whatever. And you're gonna be in the train. I had this, right? So I was in the train passing by, and all I see everywhere is red cars or red Mercedes. Like, it's focus. It's where your focus is on what comes back to you.
Yes. Yeah, so an example would be, Tony Robbins does this a lot. Be like, anybody who's watching right now, anyone who's watching right now, I'd just say, I want you to just like focus on every single thing that's green right now, everything here, and I want you to remember all of the things that are green, because it's like a memory test to see if you can remember it all. So really remember everything that's green, and then right now, close your eyes, and then remember everything that's white. And what happens is, even though you're wearing a white shirt, most people would not even remember that you were wearing a white shirt because the mind was so focused on the green. And this, you can prove this to yourself over and over and over again in so many situations. We have selective focus. We are designed that way. It's helped us survive in this physical environment. All of the reasons our brain is wired the way it is kept us alive for thousands of generations. That's
why
great.
we read so much.
Yeah, that's great. However, we live in a completely different time now.
Yeah.
The world is way different than it ever was. However, a lot of people, like we were talking about before, have these codes of how the mind works and build businesses around pushing all of our primal buttons, right? So let's say video games, social media, any of these. These companies put EEGs on people. They test their brain to see when their dopamine hits, when serotonin, and I don't think these companies are evil. Don't get me wrong. They compete against other businesses.
Yeah.
If they don't do it, the other businesses will.
Exactly.
They'll lose. So it's actually more in terms of I need to like make money for my shareholders and this and that. So how do we get people addicted to the platform? Why would someone take a vegetable, take all the nutrients out, create it into a sugar, and then put it into foods, which when I'm talking about corn syrup,
Yeah.
they didn't do it because they want to hurt people. That's at least my belief. They did it because it works.
Yeah.
People want sugar. When we were like surviving in the wild, you find a lot of sugar, you eat it fast.
Yeah.
Stores as fat, you survive. So all of these triggers from all angles are coming at us, and it's just too much.
Yeah,
and if
there's
we
a
can't
lot.
start controlling our own minds,
Yeah.
we literally, I'll be on social media all day, we'll watch this, we'll do that, we'll wake up and be like, what happened to my life? I never connected, I never did what I wanted. I got my attention hacked from every angle.
Yeah.
And you know,
True.
it's
And it's companies like, we forget, like we were talking about, I have my screen time. So what I did now, if you have an iPhone, I don't know if it's on another phone, you can put on how much time you spend on which application, on Instagram,
Yes.
WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever. When I first put that on, I was shocked. I literally was like, I could have been a doctor right now with all the time that I could have
I love that.
invested in learning something, and
Yeah.
the time I've been just scrolling just people pictures that I already don't remember anymore. And it's like our brains are so addicted nowadays of seeing so much stuff, so much impulse that we get without it being valuable for us. It makes us a lot of times even more depressed or more question ourselves, question the jobs we have, the lives we live, and it's not bringing us a lot of times, depending on what you're following, a value. And still we're doing it. So it's an addiction. We are so addicted to our phones nowadays. And so disconnected to ourselves. Well, if we would put on that audiobook or go to this workshop and connect, how much we could learn. It's incredible, it's crazy. So now I put a limit on it, because that's what you can do as well. Put a limit on how many time, how long you want to be on Instagram and on Facebook, and it pops up and you're like, time is up, girl. No more social media for you. But it's crazy.
I just want to talk about two things about that, because you're really nailing it, and it's super hard to survive with all of this happening. It's really hard. But there's this line which is, nations are born stoic and they die Epicurean, which means a stoic worked really hard and built all of this up for us, and like made the inventions and like created this world. Like stoics create and work hard and make the thing. Epicureans get the things without having to work hard, and then they just like basically feel entitled and they just do whatever. They become lazy, slothful. They don't really care, because they never learned work ethic. They never learned what it feels like to work hard, and the satisfaction that you get from not just getting instant gratification, but also thinking about the long term. And we're living in like the Western world, a place of Epicurean, where people, it's really easy. So you just like get your job, you watch TV, you just drink, you do this, you do that, and you don't.
This safe routine, which is not safe, but we think it's safe. Like, oh, we come back for our house.
You do just
we have our
enough.
couch, and like.
The problem is, it's like people will do just enough to survive themselves, and people can get mad at me when I say this, but I actually believe if you're getting just enough for you to survive, it's selfish.
True.
If you make more money, let's say you make 5 times the amount of money you make, someone will be like, oh, that's selfish to make so much more money. Not if you give it away.
Exactly.
Not if you put it towards things that are going to help the world. It's not selfish to make more money. It's not selfish to give more value. Value and money comes from giving value. Money itself is medium of exchange. It's the lubrication between real value forms, and it makes our transactions faster. So if you create something that's better for somebody else than the money that they have, they'll exchange their money for it. And if you multiply that by 1,000 people, you'll become very wealthy, helping a lot of people. Then you can then take that money and you can then put it into things that help more people. So when that mind shifts of, it's not just about me, then everything starts to change from that place. But yeah, one other thing is the social media. If you want to even hack that, because it's hard to get off it, like it's an addiction, blah, blah. At least start taking off people from your social media that are just putting garbage in your brain. Ontologically design it. Design the right people on your news feed, the right YouTube that you follow, the right this, and it will actually transform you without you even knowing it. So all the ideas will start seeping in your brain, and Gary Vee will come onto your screen and be like, turn off your
Turn on
Instagram,
your Instagram right
and
now.
go work, you know?
Yeah.
And you'll get that, and then you'll get a spiritual angle, and you'll be like, holy shit, okay, you know?
Yeah, and it's all again about being conscious.
Yes.
When you're try it today. Go to Instagram or Facebook or whatever you're using and be like, is this post bringing value in my life? Is this person bringing value in my life?
On
And
social
if not,
media, audit.
delete. Like
Yeah.
it's out. I don't want to
Yes.
get that in my brain because no. And start following people that could be your mentors. You want to be like
You want to
try
spend
get
time
that
with.
tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And message these people, because here's the thing. People will say, well, how am I going to hang out with that person? They're doing this. I'm like, this is completely wrong. I actually hang out with so many people who are not built the business as much as I have, or blah, blah, blah. I don't care. If they message me all the time because they watch my YouTube video and they're like, man, I'm working so hard on this, I'm doing this, I see myself in them.
Yeah.
I see that hunger and that drive and that want to do something, and I'm like, yeah, like what can, you know, it's completely different. But then somebody else can be maybe at a higher level, but just be like an asshole. I don't want to be around that. It has nothing to do with financial success or health. It's like, who are you being?
Yeah.
Like what are you putting into your mind? Where are you resonating at? How are you trying to help other people? When someone reaches out to me, like, what can I do to help you? People always do this. Like, how can I intern for you? How can I like do something that can like help your business, your life? Then in return, I can share all my knowledge with them. It's a better deal for them. It's better. I did that for lots of mentors.
Yeah.
It was a better exchange for them than it was for me. Or sorry, for me than it was for them. Because I got all the knowledge and wisdom. I get to collapse all the time, all the trial and error.
Yeah, true. And people forget that people who are successful and they're aligned with who they are and what their purpose is, they want to help others because they don't have time for jealousy. They're not jealous.
You're
they're
so
living
right.
to their potential. They want to share everything that they have
so
because
right.
they're so aligned. People who are jealous don't want to help you. I mean, like, not everybody can help you, but like, that think they're better than someone else. They're not aligned with who they are. They're maybe aligned with money or things that doesn't have anything to do with living your purpose and flowing through life. Because we're here to serve. Yeah. We're here to leave something behind, and everyone has a purpose. We all come here to serve for something. Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah. Thank you so much for this.
Yes, thank you too.
Super.
It's so good to connect.
Appreciate and I just like, if I can just say one thing, and it's just, if that dream that you have or whatever it is like really calling you, it's, there might not be all the circumstances and the people and everything around you now. There might be those depressed feelings. There might be all these different things. But like, if there's something inside you that says like, I can do this, the right circumstances, people, all of that exists.
Yes.
And now it's, how can I change myself to start mirroring that to the world? So how can I read the right books? How can I start to meditate? How can I take more control of my mind? How can I reach out to people and say, how can I help you? What can I do to serve you? How can I just start one at a time and doing these things? And over time, it won't happen tomorrow or the next day. Over time, you're gonna be like, wow, my life is completely different now. So
true. If you're in the dark path, try to see that little light and move step by step.
And just know there's hope. Know it's there. Know it's possible.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much for being here. Guys, please subscribe if you want to see more of these videos, and try to connect. Try to connect with people, ask questions, go and find your tribe. And if you guys want to see more, stay tuned.
See you guys.
See ya.